Everyone, this is Nicole here at Be So Creative, and I'm so excited to share the new Kimberbell digital dealer exclusive for April. Let me grab that. Oh, how cute is this? This is a Storybook pocket pillow. So it is made using one of the Kimberbell blanks. It's a pre-quilted pillow form here. And then all you'll be making is this lovely pocket, attaching it and attaching a handle. And this is perfect for storing your favorite novel in there. The other great idea that we were thinking is how cute would this design be on a bag that your little one uses maybe to the library or that you use for the library. So such a fun, versatile design. Let me give an up close. So on our design, you'll notice that we have these great words. Right here, this book, you'll notice when we go through the presentation, is actually left blank. And this is left open for you to pop in your favorite word, saying. On this one, we've tapped in the name of Marcia's little grandson, Justice, so it's personalized for him. For that, we just used our favorite 1/2-inch embroidery font. So are you ready to get started making this pillow? Let me pull up our presentation. Such a fun pillow. And such a great design that you can do lots of different things with. Let me go to our slideshow from the beginning. So this pillow can all be done in a 5x7 hoop. You'll use a medium weight tearaway stabilizer. As you notice, there's lots of heavy stitches in there. If you don't have a medium weight, maybe you just have a lightweight, you can double up on this. Or you could even float your second layer. You don't necessarily have to hoop the 2 layers. For the colors that we use, we followed their sample. Just change the name a little. We used a white, a teal, a mint, a navy blue, a salmon color, a gray, and a dark orange. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to hoop our tearaway stabilizer. We're also going to iron our favorite fusible backing onto the wrong side of the pocket fabric. And for that, we used Shape Blocks 101, the SF 101. It's a Pellon product. The other thing that you're going to want to do is that fusible backing fabric, you're going to want to iron it to the wrong side of your applique fabric. And if you're not familiar with the fusible backing, one side is smooth, the other side you will fill the little glue dots on there. The glue dots should be the ones touching the wrong side of your fabric. And so as you can see in our illustration, we've appliqued all of that on there. And what that does, it just gives your fabric a little bit of extra body to hold on to the weight of all of those stitches. Now we are going to get our fabric, the pocket fabric, and we're going to make some markings. So you can see in our illustration, they used a water-soluble pin. I simply just did some heavy creasing because then I didn't have to worry about taking it out. So working from the right side of your fabric, you are going to mark the center of the pocket. You can see we're going to do it widthwise and lengthwise. I just folded mine in half one way, made a middle crease, folded in half the other way, made a second middle crease, and there we had it. Now you don't want to do too heavy of a crease horizontally because as you can see in the next direction, we are just using those middle crosshairs to make our horizontal line. From the middle lines that you've marked, you are going to measure 1 inch up from your horizontal line and mark that however you prefer, whether it's a chalk marker, whether it's a fabric pin, or whether you just kind of do some heavy creasing there. Make your mark, and then you are going to hoop your fabric. So in our illustration, you can see where they actually hooped all the fabric and the stabilizer all together, centering the background fabric to that center of the stabilizer. Another way you could do this is you could stitch out a crosshair file and align it with that and then float the fabric, but that's completely up to you. It's a personal preference. Next, you're going to want to load the desired machine embroidery file. And here we have our little books. At this point too, if you wanted to, you could also pop in your favorite 1/2-inch font with the wording that you wanted in there as well. And you can see that third book is the one that's left empty. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stitch the pages placement line. And I do want to draw your attention to the steps on this. So we see a little gray box that says number 8. That is our instruction step. Now at the bottom, we now have a little machine with a number 1. That indicates a machine step, and this should coincide with the step on your machine, the number it's on. And then we can see a little box. It is white and it has lines through it. That lets us know that it doesn't matter what color's in there, it will not be visible. But you'll see in the next step, we see white, and that lets us know this color will be visible. So make sure it's the color that you want to see. So with that step 2, we're going to stitch the page's tack down lines, and then we're going to trim the fabric pretty close to each line. We're going to switch over to, I used a gray kind of taupey thread, and we're going to stitch the page's detail. And then we're going to stitch the first Inspire book cover placement line. We're going to cover that in this example where we use felt. We'll cover that completely, and then we'll tack it down and trim the felt close to the stitch line. Next, we are going to stitch out the spine placement line, and then we're going to use our orange fabric and cover that spine, and our fabric will be right side up. We'll tack that down and trim it. We'll do our next book, the Dream Book spine placement line. We're going to place that down, tack it, and trim. And this is going to be the same step. We're going to keep doing all of these until we get our books placed. So you'll see the next one, we're going to do the book cover, placing our applique fabric right side down, tack it down, trim it. Our next book, this is the middle one that you can personalize. We're going to, again, place our fabric covering the book spine, and then we will tack it and trim it. And then the next book in order, again, there's going to be a placement line, a tack down line, we will trim. Final book, this one we did in leather. So it's always fun. You can mix up leather, glitter would be really cute, felt, any of those fun embellishments. So we've got our spine placement line. We've got our the leather that we've placed right side up. We'll tack it down and then we'll trim it. And then we'll do the first of the words. So we have Inspire, and we're going to work on these books from the bottom up, all the details. So the first word, we'll stitch out Inspire. Step 19, we'll do the details. Step number 20, and I mean machine step 20, we'll do the book cover detail 1. And then next step, machine step number 21, we will stitch out the book cover satin stitch outline as well as the cover detail 2. On there. So we had one detail. We also had a second little detail on there. I love how many details are on these books. It's gorgeous. The next thing we're going to do is stitch out Dream on the next book, and then there'll be a satin stitch as well. Then we'll do some details, step 23. Step 24, we have the Dream book spine satin outline. Step number 25, we'll stitch out the book spine outline, and this is a custom one. Step number 26, you'll do the spine detail. 27, we'll work on Believe and do that book cover fill. Then we'll stitch out the Believe detail and spine detail. We'll move on to step number 29, where we'll stitch the Believe book spine satin outline. And I love all of these pictures. There are arrows pointing to exactly what part we're stitching out. So if you're not quite sure when I say what the details are, you can look on these directions and see black arrows pointing exactly where these detail stitches are. Step number 30, we will stitch the book cover, Discover book cover fill and the spine detail. And also the word discover. Then step number 31, we'll do the book spine and satin outline. 32, we'll do the detail. So you are pretty much done. If you chose to pop a custom word, this is a point that part would stitch out as well with your favorite font. Again, a 1/2 inch font seemed to work quite well, but we know these all differ a little bit. So you find your favorite one that fits nicely in that spot. The other thing, if you didn't want to do a custom word, you could always pop in a focus fabric, maybe a nice floral, something fun. It would be really cute in there. So we're done with the embroidery. So we're going to remove our project from our hoop, and we're going to gently remove the excess tearaway stabilizer from the back of the design. Or if you use cutaway, you can also cut around it as well. And then if you have any crosshairs, maybe you did draw them out, at this point, you're going to want to remove them. If you press them in, you can press with your iron, keeping in mind if you used any of the fun embellishment fabrics that we talked about, leather, glitter, etc., that you're mindful of those and use a press cloth as needed. So now we're going to move on to the sewing part of our project, and we're going to put our blank together. The first thing we're going to do is iron the fusible backing to the wrong side of the lining pocket, the pocket accent fabric, and the handle fabric. We are going to fold our handle fabric in half lengthwise, wrong sides together, and that is going to give us a line that we are then going to fold the outer raw edges in, meeting that line, then fold it again in half. So you'll end up with a 4 layers all together, and that makes our handle really quite sturdy. And then you're just going to top stitch along the long sides of the handle, along both of them. You will go ahead and back stitch because we want this to be quite secure. And then using your favorite decorative stitch, you'll do a decorative stitch down the middle of the handle. And this is optional, but here's kind of a close-up. I just did a fun decorative stitch on my machine. Now we're going to assemble the pocket. Please note that if you are using directional fabric, you'll need to be a little bit more cautious. For this one, we did not, so we didn't have to worry too much. But as you can see in the illustration on step number 8, we're going to arrange our fabric where we have our books. Then we're going to have our middle kind of trim fabric, and then we're going to have the other fabric. Everything is right side up. So we're going to stitch together our book fabric to the piece of blue that we used here to create that little accent. And then we are also going to stitch the other piece of our lining to that accent. And so we're going to end up with a piece of fabric that looks like the picture in step 10, where we have our books, our accent strip, and then our inside lining of our pocket. We are going to fold this right sides together, fold it in half, and you want to take care that your accent piece, that you just really fold that really nicely in half and that your seams line up. Once everything is nice and layered together, we are going to trim our pocket. The finished pocket should measure 19 inches wide, and then we're going to trim 1 inch if you need to, approximately, to make sure it finishes at that. So we are going to measure again from the top of our project down 12.5 inches and trim it. Your finished pocket will finish at 12 inches, but we're taking into account our seam allowance. So we're trimming 12.5 inches from our top down. Next, you are going to sew the bottom edge of your pocket together with a 1/2 inch seam. And then you'll turn it right side out and your pocket will finish at 12 by 19. You're going to press everything nice and well. We want a nice crisp edge at the top. Now on to our pillow. We need to get our pocket attached. We're going to lay our pillow on a nice flat surface, right side up with the zipper pull to the left. We're going to measure 1 inch above the zipper and mark it with your favorite marking tool. And then we're going to place our pocket right side down on top of the pillow cover, aligning the bottom edge. Now the pocket, if it's placed properly, it's going to cover the zipper. And we're going to go ahead and pin that in place. And then you're just going to stitch the bottom of your pocket using a 1/4 inch seam allowance across the line that you marked. And that's going to get that pocket attached to the bottom of the pillow. You want to go ahead and remove your pins, flip your pocket up, and now we want to align it with the sides of our pocket, or the side of our pillow. And then we want to stitch a 1/4 inch seam allowance, attaching the pocket to the front flap of our pillow. Once you are all done with that part, we are going to gently fold our pillow cover in half lengthwise, right sides together, and we're going to mark the center top with a pin. Then you want to go ahead and measure 2.5 inches from each side of your pin, and that is going to be where we align our handle. So you're going to pop a pin in each piece of your handle, and then we are going to, at this point, I did just a quick little stay stitch and just attached it that way. So it was all secure there. And you definitely want to backstitch because we want our handle to be nice and secure. Please, please take a quick pause and open your zipper. If you don't, it'll be a little bit of a struggle, especially because this is an invisible zipper. I have certainly sewn my share of pouches where I didn't open the zipper and I was able to kind of finagle it, kind of do some gentle pulling with it all sewn and get it open. This is an invisible zipper. It's a little bit trickier to do that. So take a minute and go ahead and open that zipper. Now we want to go ahead and fold the pillow cover in half widthwise, aligning our edges. And if you notice here, the handle is inside our pillow. We want to tuck that in. Now, just like in the illustration, you're going to use a 1/2 inch seam allowance stitch all around the 3 edges. And do not sew over your zipper. Please take note in our illustration, if you look to see where the zipper is, you want to start and stop 1/2 inch above that zipper line. And the reason we want you to do that is we want the corners to poke out nicely. If, like in a pouch, we would normally go to the zipper, your zipper will get stuck in there and you're going to have some big, huge bulges there. So stop and 1/2 inch before you get to the zipper, and that's shown in the picture. And then you can turn your pillow cover right side out, put your insert in there, close your zipper, and your cute little project is done and ready to be used. So I hope you enjoyed stitching out this pillow cover with us. I can't wait to see what you do with it. Thank you so much for joining us. Happy stitching.